Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm truly outrageous. Hi, I'm Trey, and I am joined by someone who likes to match that truly outrageous energy, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi. I like that your adverbs come in threes.
Thank you. It's actually a reference to Gem and the Holograms from the 80s.
Oh, I was thinking of a recent episode where you said like the word interesting three times in a row, and those are your adjectives coming in threes, and now it's your adverbs. And I think maybe it's contagious.
No, that's my dementia talking. Why they come in threes. Um, but seriously, sometimes I cannot think of a word, and so what comes out of my mouth is exactly what I repeated before,
Yeah,
and it just
no shame.
happens,
No shame in that.
or just lots of shame, and I'll just keep it internalized. It's
No,
fine.
no.
No, it's totally fine.
That's a wholly totally different show.
That's fair.
Do a different
Um,
show for that.
Funnily enough, the I have been watching Gem and the Holograms recently,
Oh,
and weirdly enough, I saw an advertisement and I made sure that this was recent. Walmart is actually selling reproductions of the Gem doll from the 1980s back in
hmm.
stores. She's $30. She comes with a whole array of accessories, but yeah, they're with the original artwork and everything. They're making manufactured reproductions.
Fascinating. I would like to know how much an original gem doll
Mm.
was back in the 80s. To know what kind of, like, was she $3? Are we this many times more now? Maybe that doesn't matter. What matters is aficionados and people who, what's the word I'm looking for? Not aficionado. That's like
Like
too serious.
aficionado of gem dolls. I mean, that's a very niche place to be.
It is so niche, but the music was
Enthusiast is the word I should have used.
but the music was so good, and it honestly, I have to say that the production quality was really good, and I actually enjoy listening to them unironically. You know what else I like from the 1980s that that's caused a little bit of a hot commodity
I
between
knew
us?
you were going to bring this up. I'm going to flip a table.
We'll get into it with our guest. We'll save this
Yeah,
this knockdown.
you have to wait for this one.
So, without further ado, Emily, would you introduce our guest today?
I would love to. Tonight's guest is Levi Ware, who's a singer-songwriter who's toured with legends and is a legend himself. And he's made a name for himself through some interesting. It's an interesting blend of some different genres in music. But he's also the co-founder of the Melodic Caring Project, which brings music to hospitalized kids around the world. So, welcome to the show, Levi.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Legend is I'm not sure about that adjective for me, but I appreciate the introduction
I
very
don't
much.
know. I think some of the folks over at the Melodic Caring Project might think you're a legend.
Mhm.
Okay, niche. Again, that's good. I can fit in that little
Well,
category.
yeah,
That
just
works.
take what you can get.
So I we hinted at it before, and I do want to ask you. So if you haven't heard, The Princess Bride is being turned into a musical, or at least it's in like the early stages of development. And the songwriters that they brought on are the same writing duo that brought us the music from Frozen. I'm very much in favor of this musical. Emily is less so. So I'm curious your take on
That's
that.
accurate.
Man. Okay, so here's the thing. It could be like the greatest, or it could be a total disaster because The Princess Bride is so classic and there's so many
Hmm.
that's iconic, right? People have a lifetime of memories associated with that
Hmm.
movie. My kids and I quote that movie back and forth to each other, you know? So
Right?
if it comes out and it's not as good as what you have in your mind or like the feelings you have associated with Princess Bride, then it's just going to be a giant disappointment. Like a sequel, right? Like you get
That's
like
exactly what
Frozen
I
did well.
said.
They did it. They did it. Frozen 1 and Frozen 2, both good. But
Yeah.
you get movies where the first one's like, that was such a great movie. I can't wait for the next one. And then it's terrible and it's just so disappointing.
You did say something that was right on, though, and that is, the people doing it are the people behind the music from Frozen. So that is so well done that maybe it's possible they picked the right people to do this. And maybe I need to just be open-minded to the idea that this could be, like you said, absolutely amazing.
You
Uh,
could, I think. So we just got a comment that says, "Yeah, don't mess it up, folks." I think that
Mhm.
sums it all up. That is exactly my feelings.
There's a
It's
lot
either
of
going to be
pressure on this.
phenomenal or it's just going to be incredibly disappointing.
This is like Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings level pressure we're putting on you, folks behind this, whoever you
So
are.
wait,
I looked it up
in
and I
reference to what, like The Hobbit? Because Lord of the Rings was fantastic. The Hobbit was garbage, I thought.
right.
And it was
I'm in
so
agreement.
freaking disappointing.
It's the idea that Peter Jackson had to do justice to Lord of the Rings as a whole, because
Yeah,
not
sure.
because it had already been done amazingly, but because it hadn't been done at all. And that was such an undertaking. So maybe that's not the a parallel I was going for. It was just that it has to be that amazing.
Yeah, agreed. So
And
I
not
agree
that
with both of you
not that
in this case, it turns out.
You know what?
we're
That was the secret third option. Congratulations, you win!
you
Yay!
unlocked the secret door. You
Yeah.
get a gold star for the day.
But that is an interesting point. So we'll concede that. If it's not good, my fear is that the music will be good, but the book for the show will not. And so the music will be fantastic, but all the the writing and what we got to love as characters, that will be the part that
So
suffers.
here's the problem. What I see more and more now is that writing feels lazy to me, right? Where back before we had CGI and all these incredible special effects and things that could take a good story and push it over the top,
Mhm.
there was just the good story, and that's all you had to lean back on. Or you had good music, you had good writing, good story, and you didn't have anything that you could try to hide that behind. Now that's terrible story writing that's covered over with, you know, $200 million of CGI, and everybody thinks that that makes a good movie, and it doesn't. I mean, that's why
Mhm.
Princess Bride was so good. Is it was nothing fancy, no frills, just a endearing, beautiful story that
It
gets you
is
all the way through.
Yeah.
truly a gem.
Oh, you
Are,
just said Jim.
are
That
you
was
bringing it
amazing.
full? I see what you
That
did
was
there.
amazing. Wow,
Yeah, I like to bring things full
that
circle, you
was
know.
that was
Thank you.
really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's why
Uh,
you're the podcast host. That's
mhm.
yeah.
I just throw a single words out there now and then and it lands.
So, taking this in a different direction, Levi, I while doing research, the one thing that I want to know about your journey into music is how it really got started. Because I could find some things on your YouTube channel from about 14 years ago, but
And
I
here's a clip.
and here's a
No,
clip
just
now.
kidding. We
But
won't do that to
It's a
you.
song from Jem.
Ah,
But seriously, I want to know what first attracted you to music,
Yeah.
and how did you go from music to managing in business management to also being a singer songwriter? Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, how do you go back to where music first caught a hold of you? Because here's my feelings about music is that it is a language. It's universal, right? It's a language that everybody speaks, even if they don't realize they do, or they all resonate with it. And you can see, babies when a beat comes on or a song comes on and they start bobbing along to it. Like you have a sense of rhythm that is just intrinsically a part of you. Your heart is rhythmic, right? So I think that everybody has an affinity to music, whether they know it or not. I think that we can almost like cerebrally talk ourselves out of it as we get older, or uh, become jaded, and you don't just simply let something move you because it moves you. We try to think about it too much or try to impart too much meaning to it or something. But when I first I guess when I first realized that music meant a lot to me was, well, my parents took me to concerts when I was young, and that was always a good experience. But when it became really personal to me was, I was 15, I was homeschooled, um, and I had kind of a manic energy. I was a kid that just didn't sit still much. I was probably ADD is what they would call it now, but back in the 70s and 80s, they didn't have a word for it, right? You were just, oh, he's a
Right.
boy, he's crazy, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's the kid that likes to throw stuff or whatever they called it back then.
You're
And so,
daydreaming.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, daydreamer, exactly, right. So I think my mom, in trying to focus my energy, because it was really hard to get me to just sit and do a school lesson, or yeah, really focus for long periods of time. So probably in trying to find a way to focus my energy, she was looking for something that engaged me. And she used to play guitar and sing when she was younger, and probably could have been partly out of panic or a sense of like, gosh, what am I going to do with this kid? I don't know. But she put a guitar in my hands and showed me some chords, and it was one of the first things that really just like took all of the noise and went whoop, and focused it, and gave me a way to express what I was feeling, in a way that, at 14, 15, you don't really have the words to express maybe the turmoil that's inside, not in a bad way,
Mm-hmm.
but it just,
Yeah.
there's just so much happening, and you can't put all those thoughts and feelings and emotions into words and express them to somebody else. But music somehow quieted that and gave me a way to express what I was feeling through melody. And that was it was a it was a means of expression that became a lens for how I viewed the world. And so it was something that focused me then. It still does. It's just, it has somehow managed to be central to my life ever since it was introduced. And it's, the more I invested into music, the more I realized that it was a relationship that was reciprocal, and it wasn't just me investing my time and energy into it. It was giving energy back to me, um and opening the world to me in a way that nothing else could. So it was
Okay.
just this, it became a journey that was really beautiful, and brought me into living rooms that I wouldn't have visited, and introduced me to people I never would have met, and brought me into states that I never would have seen, into countries that I wouldn't have gone to. And so it just really took the whole world and broadened it up and made it something that was not just accessible, but beautiful, and almost was like a, when you go into a room and you don't know anybody, to have one person that knows other people and can make a friendly introduction makes everything easy,
Oh
and
yeah.
and like a friendly experience. And that's what music was. When I would go into a room of strangers with a song, it was like this soft introduction, and all of a sudden it made it all easier and kinder, and I loved it.
What a great analogy.
Yeah.
Because we all want that ability to have to be introduced or to have some connection with the other people in the room, and that's really magical. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's
Yeah.
it. I really, that is how I view music, is, call it magical or miraculous, or it's one of those adjectives that it is, it's elusive, because
Mm-hmm.
you can't quite wrap your hands around what it is. It's this ethereal thing that is a deeper connection with the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
I say that I say something like that, maybe not as articulate, but I say something like that when it comes to being on stage and being in the theater, because there's this
Yep.
unsaid connection that you're trying to make with the people in the audience. And if I can look and just see one person that's looking at me so intently as I'm intently looking at them, then I know that I'm doing my job. And there's an unspoken connection that you really can't you can't really describe it except electric.
Yeah, in theater, it's called the fifth wall, right? Where if you can break that barrier between you and the audience, where all of a sudden you are now having a shared experience. You're not doing something for them, you're doing something in exchange with each other. That's just a really amazing, uh, yeah, it's amazing way to exchange energy.
No, something you said um, was about that you felt fairly restless, and that people might describe that as being like ADHD or ADD.
Hmm.
But they've also talked about how when you have so much want and desire to get something outside of yourself, it can manifest itself as like restless sort of energy or like
Yeah.
in different ways. Do you feel like it was just an like a desire for something creative to come out of you, or do you feel like it was kind of truly a restless energy?
That's a really great question. I when music began, I didn't think that it was about creation, you
Mhm.
know? I mean, I or at least maybe I just didn't recognize that that's what it was, because it was, um, like I say, it felt like almost, like being given a language to express yourself that you didn't realize that you had, So it broadened your ability to communicate what your experience was. And I
Hmm.
think that everybody wants that, I think, what people want is to connect. People want to, I think we deal with a tremendous amount of isolation, and it's wild. I think that's something that is, maybe almost like a plague for humans, is that and you see it in depression, you see it in anxiety, where your first response is to, I feel threatened or I feel overwhelmed, I need to separate. And the reality is isolation is the most harmful thing, so you're retreating into the very thing that harms you. And what we need is connection and somebody to express and to be seen and heard and understood by. And that's the desire that I think is actually more fundamental than the desire to escape. It's the desire to connect, but it's the fear that you're not going to be able to connect that causes you to want to escape, And so that's what music was for me, was this thing beyond all of that. It gave me a way to connect beyond having the words to say it, I
Hmm.
guess, So there was a connection that was deeper than my ability to put my thoughts and feelings and emotions into words, and that was a beautiful thing.
And I think too, some people don't. We're not always taught how to connect when we're kids. We don't always
No,
know what.
absolutely.
We don't always know how to take that step, and so withdrawing, isolating, feels more comfortable
Yeah.
because that's what we do know how to do.
Yeah. 100% agree.
We do have a question in the chat, and I think I'm gonna direct this at you, Levi. Um, Emily and I have talked about this question, but I'm curious your answer. What does romanticism mean to you?
It's funny because I think, you could look at it as just the face value relationship between two people who have affection towards each other. But I think deeper than that, romanticism is, if you look at like, the romantic languages, right? Latin-based languages. It's Man, I think romanticism in art is it is a means of expression. It's like making the world approachable, if that makes sense, right? If in music, or in if you look at a play or that sort of thing, the fact that you're bringing a whole crowd of people together that have completely different backgrounds, different experiences, different, upbringings, and creating a sense of shared experience and of love. I don't know, if you look at, like I say, I see it as almost expression, you know,
Yeah.
a way to let people express and experience each other and each other's experiences, because through that, then you have a much broader perspective of the world.
And you said something that's really key there, because romanticism being something that kind of focuses on raising up the individual, you know, through in this case, connection and in expression. Those things, those things are part of it, and I can see why that would be how that speaks to you.
Yeah, or it's like a, you know, it's a beautiful shared experience. So I'm
Yeah,
looking at, um,
I was
is
reading
it
the other
making a
comment
bunch of
there.
people like the same thing? I mean, in a way, right? Like, so think about if you're on, you know, you're on a boat on this on the Seine in France, and the moon is up, and you know, there's fiddle music playing, and you're drinking a glass of wine, and you can look and go like, what a romantic spot, but you could be
Hmm.
completely alone. So it's not about just a one-on-one relationship, you know, it's about a, I think it is about a shared experience and a an emotion that can be, man, almost imparted to the people that are around you, you know.
Yeah, I think making them like the same thing is more controlling than romanticism really is. It's more inspirational.
Yeah.
I think about it as like celebrating the things that are around you so that
Hmm.
you, like you were talking about those people coming in from all walks of life, it's celebrating the fact that there are so many different ideas and conversations coming into it to ultimately make such an incredible, to your point, shared experience together. So I think it's all of those things kind of rolled up into one. And when you can sit down and look up at the moon and go, oh, that's gorgeous. To me, that's romanticism. Or even
Yeah.
looking at the stars. It's whimsy, it's delight in even sometimes the simplest things.
Hmm. And
Yeah, I
sometimes
like
that's
that.
sharing them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and and the fact that, so you know, the thing that makes us human is that we can create and share, you know. And if you can take, I just think this is where it's miraculous to me, whether it's music or, you know, writing a play or painting a painting. I mean, if you can take something that is this ethereal, whatever it is, an image in your mind, or a, you know, a lyric or a thought or a story that you want to express, and you can turn something non-physical into something physical that you can share with the people around you, that's a really powerful thing. And like I say, it's the thing that makes us human. It separates us from
Hmm.
the animal, you know, is that we can do that with each other and create shared experience in that way, where you can take your feelings, your emotions, bundle them into a song and make other people feel what you're feeling. That's that's almost like casting a spell, you know? And
Yeah.
that's pretty romantic, you know?
Hmm.
Now, not Annie Lennox, I put a spell on you, but I know what you're going for.
Right. It was the gem reference that I was going for.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That
man.
was like, that was so good. That was so good.
Uh, Talking a little bit about, because you are not only a musician, but you're also in business management. You've also done marketing. And to me, those are two very completely opposite sides of the brain. Um,
Left,
so,
right.
Yeah.
super left and right. A multi-part question, but I'll start with the first part. One, how do you balance both sides of those brains for
Mhm.
yourself?
Also a great question, and
That
something
is a
that
good
for
question.
me has taken years and intention. And so I'll lay this out chronologically to a degree, because when I was younger, when I started playing music, and this is a big problem with a lot of musicians, right, is that that left brain, that artist brain, is powerful. And the problem with the right brain and the business brain is that you can cage the power of creativity by trying to put something repeatable or something, right. Business is about systems and efficiencies and that sort of thing. So that's the total opposite of that left brain creation, where you try to just let go of your inhibitions. And to me, creation is a thing of almost harnessing what's around you and putting it out there, right? It's a message is coming through you as much as it is from you. And so for those two worlds to live side by side is not easy. It's like you say, it's two independent practices in a lot of ways. And as a musician trying to survive off of music, you either have to have a good manager that can handle that right brain side of what you have to accomplish to make music work, or you have to develop that ability in yourself. And that's when we were young. So okay, so I started playing music at 15. um I had a good friend that I met at 16 who liked to sing, so we would play songs together. And then we realized, man, we can actually write our own songs, which was a really incredible discovery. So we started
Mhm.
writing songs. And when people started to resonate with those songs and hear more songs, it just was, like I say, this beautiful open door that we thought, wow, I want more of this. I like this. I like this feeling of connecting with people and expressing and having other people resonate with this, with what we're expressing. So we started to write more songs. And then we had another mutual friend, and the three of us joined a band or created a band together. And we thought, man, how great is this? So we were playing local coffee shops and local schools and that sort of thing. And then we realized we need to go farther, because everybody local, they're not going to come out to shows every week. So we're going to have to start traveling to reach new people. So we started to go down to Seattle, and we started to go down to Portland, and then we started to go down to California, and then we started to go over to Montana and Idaho and Nevada. Um, and the more it spread, the more we realized there's two sides to this. This isn't just about creativity and being able to go out and play music. We also have to put gas in the van. We also have to put food in our bellies. We also have to, and booking is not easy, reaching out and finding a new audience. So we had to learn how to conduct ourselves from a business sense and selling ourselves, right? We had to become our own marketers and
Yep.
talk to people about our music and why it matters. We had to then be able to create flyers to show people that, oh, we have a show coming up next week, right? So now we're learning visual art, we're learning business management sense and communication. After we play a show, we have to settle the show, and we have to collect the money, and we have to figure out the percentages, and we have to write. So there's a ton of business related to the industry of music, and that's the hard part, is when you really get into it, people will say it's 90-10. It's 10% creativity and 90% business. So if you don't have a manager or a team, or you're not making enough money to hire those people, got to do it yourself. And
Yeah.
so that's where a lot of my business sense came from, was from booking, touring, marketing, all of the math associated with settling shows. And okay, well, we have to take this cut just to run the band. What the rest is divided in thirds or fourths, or however many band members we have. And um, man, we have subscriptions we have to pay for, if we have EPKs or that sort of thing we need to send out. We have a website we got to pay for. We have hosting we have to pay for. So all of that stuff is conflict of left and right brain.
I love
And I
that.
had to develop it all as I went
Yeah.
along.
So now that you've developed it, I'm sure that you've got some tricks of the trade of like how to keep yourself going with that more than just like putting food on the table. So my follow-up question to that is, how do you find the romanticism in the business side of things while still having enough for the creative side of yourself?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that question was perfectly phrased for your podcast, but is also the crux question that derails a lot of musicians away from the thing they love. Because you have to find a place as an artist where you do what you do because you love it, because it has romantically captured every aspect of what you are and who you are. And you're going to do it whether people care or not, whether people are listening or not, whether people are supporting or not. Right. And, um, if you look at romance as relates to love, it's like two people who love each other that came from different worlds, aren't supposed to be together, right? And yet somehow find a way for their love, for their commitment to each other to overcome all the obstacles. I mean, it's what how many movies are written about this, you know, the guy from the wrong side of the tracks meets the girl from the, you know, that's that's what it is. And you in music have to decide I'm doing this because not because it's what I love, but because it's what I am. And I can't not do it. This I'm going to do it at whatever level I can do it. And once you discover that secret in music, then you'll find a way for it to fit into your life or for your life to fit into it or however that is, right? You find a way to do it on an ongoing basis. And for me, I toured for 15 years, I would say. I love it. I love touring. I love everything about it. But it can be really brutal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there whether you're a playwright, whether you're an actor, whether you're a painter, whether you're a, you know, any form of that romantic expression, you will hit a crux point where you it becomes a burden on you, you know, and trying to figure out how to live, how to survive, how to see to all of your responsibilities while still honoring this passion that you have can be I did actually a podcast a little while ago about this, about how this point where your passion becomes your livelihood can be the death of your passion and everything that matters to you
Mm-hmm.
because you tend to key in on the things that sell the best or create the most, you know, maybe in today's world it's the things that create the most thumbs up or you get the most likes or you get the most, right, you get the most social media interaction. And if in your creative journey you stop doing what's genuine to you and authentic to you in your life and start doing the thing that you think other people are going to want to hear because it will sell more albums, it will get more likes, it will get that's the death of that passion for you, you know? And that's a really hard line to walk. And a lot of times you have to something's going to die, you know? For me, I always thought that I was going to be, you know, a big household name touring musician. That was the thing. That dream had to die so that my passion for music didn't die, you know?
Hmm.
And when I walked away from music and realized that I had a certain amount of arrested development because I was so focused on this dream of music being my career, my life. I had a lot of other areas in life that I needed to develop that I had put on hold because I was so focused on making that dream happen. And when I finally realized in order to be healthy so that I can continue to create from a place of health, from a place of authenticity, from a place of genuine expression, I have to walk away from this dream. And I thought I was walking away from music. And what I realized, I moved out of state. I wholesale changed almost my whole life, you know, and moved away thinking that I was leaving music. And what I realized is music is in me. It's a part of me. I'll never leave it. Whether I'm sitting on my back porch playing a song for myself, whether I'm playing for my kids, or whether I'm playing in front of a crowd of, you know, 10,000 people, it all comes from the same place. And that's where it thrives, you know? So for me, that's maybe that's how those two things live side by side. You know, I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
where the Melodic Caring Project came from, was from um, looking for that place where that passion could still thrive in a new form, you know?
I like that you put it that you put some other things on hold and that you were comparing what was most important to you in life as
Mhm.
to maintaining that focus on and keeping that passion. A friend of mine made a post recently that his outlook on a lot of like young people now is focused so much on they think of this like the business of getting booked, blessed, and moving on to the next gig versus making something that they can truly stand behind as like a true work of art.
Yeah.
And while I understand that from a certain sense, that's where I think a lot of people get burnt out super, super quickly on that. So I'm so thrilled to hear that you recognize that early on and that you did steps in order to make sure that you could continue that passion. In that respect, you also mentioned that your project, sorry, not your project, but your, I can't think of the proper word to use for it right now, but you mentioned the Melodic Caring Project.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to tell us about that,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, um, okay, so we have a question, but can you really afford to follow your passion in life? So came in on the live chat, right? So
Hmm.
I'm gonna address that in the response to your question because it's such a good question. Is so here's the thing. I think that it's about longevity. It's about never giving up. It's about it might not look like what you thought it would look like. That doesn't mean that the outcome is wrong. It means that your initial vision of what you thought your life was going to be was wrong, right? And those things can change without it can be it's interesting. It can be the loss of a dream without being the loss of a passion, if that makes sense, right? Because dreams constantly change. I mean, if
Yeah.
we live in such a way, I think anybody that's living to the fullest, that's a dream, an intent, something they want for their life, right? And you set a dream that you can accomplish. You don't set a dream that you'll never accomplish, right? So as we set dreams, you set a dream you can accomplish. When you accomplish it, well, then is it over? No, you set another dream, and then you set that goal a little bit farther out. And this is how we advance and become masters of our passions or masters of our art, is that the dream that you accomplish just becomes a stair that brings you to the next stair that brings you and you elevate your art and you elevate that left brain inhibition, that ability to let that go and dream recklessly while keeping that right brain um, ability to advance, like to progress, And so for me, what happened was I moved away. I thought I was leaving music. I realized I was never gonna. Okay, let me step back one step farther. So I was touring with the band with my friends and loved it. But what was happening was we were starting to get radio play across the nation. So we became top 50 on AAA radio across the nation, which was a really great, you know, according to my previous dream, that was good. I was getting to the dream that I was trying to accomplish, right? Simultaneously, what was happening while there was apparent success was that radio play meant that okay, so that's the type of song that's popular. We have to write more songs like that song. So we changed our expression to write more songs that we thought were radio hits. Well, that's not what the dream was ever about, right? My music was this passion, this authentic experience of communication that by the nature of what it was had to be had to evolve, had to change because I was evolving and changing, right? My
Hmm.
life was evolving and changing, so the music had to evolve and change. I can't just write the same song over and over again that's going to be a radio hit because that's not real. That's now chasing something that's not authentic. That's chasing the the hope to be able to like I say, this is where a lot of artists lose their passion is because as you're trying to and this also goes to that question, can you afford to pursue your passion? Well, yes, you can afford to pursue your passion, but that might be the death of your dream, right? And so for me, the dream was to make it in music, but to make it in music means I had to have more radio hits, I had to sell more product, I had to sell t-shirts, I had to sell, right? I had to become a successful business entity, which then crushed that left brain ability to just authentically live, express, communicate. And what I realized is the more success we had, the more I was becoming disjointed with the passion and the thing I loved that inspired it.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't success in a lot of ways, right? And I think if you look at, there's a lot of artists. Okay, look at the Chris Cornells. Look at the Shannon Hoons. Look at the people who they've done it. They have reached the peak. They are household names. They are huge artists. They're incredibly talented, and yet they're insanely depressed because it's the dream that they had set out for themselves wasn't healthy for them. It wasn't. It became disassociated with the passion, which is what they needed, with that sense of connection, that sense of being, of being valued. And we see this a lot with artists: is you become a product and you become your own product, and then you have to pimp yourself out as your own product. Well, that's not where the passion ever came from. So for me, I hit a point where I realized the industry, or success in the industry, actually wasn't the dream. To be able to continue to authentically create and express myself was the dream. And that led me to walking away from music, and then discovering that no, music is the lens that I see the world through and that I love, right? This is the thing that makes me feel connected to the people around me. So I continued to write. I continued to, but in an authentic way, not chasing what I thought somebody else wanted to hear, but just communicating what I was feeling, what I was going through. And what I realized, it's funny because you can write the thing that you think somebody else wants to hear and realize that that's not what they want to hear. What they want to hear is something authentic. And they don't even know that until they hear the song that's authentic and they go, "Oh my gosh, that's what I wanted to hear."
And then it's
So
relatable. Yes.
yeah, so it's a process of discovery for both, right? Both the listener and the creator of the art. So uh so for me, I walked away from music. I realized music is something I'll never leave. And then it was a matter of, okay, so now how does this fit with my life? And this is where Melodic Caring Project comes in. So I had recorded an album, and my wife, God bless her, brilliant business mind, goes, "You realize that music is not a good investment, right?" I'm like, yes, yes, I do. I realize that from a financial standpoint, music is a terrible investment, but that's not what it's about for me. I record this music because I wholeheartedly believe these songs were given to me for a reason. And okay, so it's like the idea of a gift, right? If a gift, when a gift is given, when it gets to you, if you stop giving it, it's no longer a gift. It's over. It's ended, right? And music is this gift that's meant to be given. It's not supposed to stop with me. If this incredible song, I mean, imagine if Shakespeare took Romeo and Juliet and was like, "Ah, what a great story," and never shared it with anybody, right? It would be like the most beautiful gift never given.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, it would be the death of a gift. And that's what music is for me. Is I've been given these songs that my job is to share them with the world. I don't know what their life is after that. My job is to put them out there. And then after that, they're out of my hands, right? They become other people's songs. And what I've realized is there's songs I've released that were never radio hits. They never would have or will make it on the radio. And so there was a whole phase of my life where I thought that made them less valuable. And what I came to discover was those songs, they might have appealed to a very small handful of people, but they were life-giving in a time where it was really necessary. And I've had people contact me and say, my husband was on his deathbed battling cancer, and this song was so meaningful to him. And is that less meaningful than a song that went platinum and made a bunch of money? I don't think it is. It's just it's a different measure of success for what a song is. It's meaning versus commercial value. Uh, so sorry. So to get back to the question, where did Melodic Caring Project come from? In the middle of all of this was my wife saying, "So music's not a good investment." And I was saying, "No, but it is. You're looking at it through the wrong lens. Music and recording music is a way of connecting people and bringing people together. It's this emotional thing that I can't explain to you, if you can't feel it. And she said, okay, if that's what it is to you, if you believe your music is meant to connect or to bring people together, to have some greater significance, why are you playing in bars where people aren't really listening to the music? They're just there to hook up, or there to, I'm like, touche. That's a really great question, and in a lot of ways, it's because that's just the default. That's what you do. If you're a musician, you play at places where live music happens. Well, live music happens in bars, it happens in
Yeah.
pubs, it happens in, so that's where you end up, but it's not where the music is the most valued necessarily. So my wife's point was, if you want to keep playing music and you believe it's about connection, you need to find the outlet where your what your intent for the music is being honored. It's bringing value. And I said, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I get that, So then it was a search of, how do I do that? Where is that at? And trying to find those places. And in the midst of that search, I had a buddy who was a middle school teacher, and one of his students was diagnosed with leukemia, and he called me and just said, Levi, I don't know what to do with this, man. I've got a 11-year-old student who has just been handed a really brutal diagnosis, and she doesn't know if she's going to live. She doesn't know if she's going to die. Her class is scared. You know, you have any ideas? What can we do? And this to me is where music shines, and that's my immediate response is, let's have a concert. Let's let her know that she's not alone, right? We are, her whole community is going to gather. We are going to support her and let her know that we are with her down this incredibly brutal journey. And so we said, great, let's do it. So we put on a concert. We had 300 people gathered. It was a theater here in I live in Mount Vernon, Washington, so it's called the Lincoln Theater. 500 cap venue, really cute little venue. And the whole idea was, Katie's not alone, right? We are gathering around Katie to support her while she goes down this road. And it turned out that the night of the concert, that we were all gathered to support her so she wasn't alone, Katie had to go through a bone marrow transplant and was in isolation in the hospital, completely alone. And
Oh.
it just utterly defeated the whole purpose for what we were doing. And we thought, and now what? It's now what? And so I had a laptop just like this. This was 2010, so it was before live streaming was really even a thing. And
Hmm.
I had an experience where I played a show that was live streamed, and there was a band in LA that played a show that was live streamed, and we were playing. It was like a battle of the bands against each other. It was the first time I'd ever seen this technology. I was like, that's so cool. I don't know when I'd ever use it, but I signed up for a live streaming account just offhandedly, thinking sometime maybe that'll come in handy. And the night of the show for Katie, it came in handy because I was sitting there going, what do we do? Katie's not here, And we realized, wait, we can live stream the show to Katie in the hospital. And so we set up a live stream. We sent her the link. I played the show. And while I played, I would just look into the camera and go, Katie, you're supposed to be here. Everybody is here to support you and let you know that you're not alone. And we love you. And we're thinking about you. And then I picked up the computer and turned it around, and everybody in the crowd waved at Katie and blew kisses. And and we didn't think it would be a really emotional connection at the time, but I called Katie afterwards, and she was sobbing and her mom was sobbing, and we realized, holy smokes, we could do this for kids anywhere. And for me, it was like all of these years of the tension of the passion of music and the the cold, calculated business side of music, everything came together into this, like all the puzzle pieces fell into place. And I realized, oh my gosh, this is what my wife was talking about, right? A place where your music fits. And then this gets back to the earlier question of, can you afford to pursue your passion? Yes, you can. You can always afford to pursue your passion. That might mean the death of a dream, but find your passion in the midst of that dream and pursue that. And what comes out of it will be the authentic thing, I believe, that you were supposed to be pursuing the whole time.
If you don't need a tissue after hearing that story, my God, go get a tissue. Um, oh my gosh. And I want to read out some stats from that. The Melodic Caring Partner has supported, according to your website, has reached over 52,000 specific individuals who have been hospitalized,
Wow.
which means not just them, which means you've reached an over 7 million people who knew these individuals. So it's not
Yeah.
just the individuals, but also their families and people who know and are related to them in some capacity or another. It's over 7 million people. Holy expletive. That is incredible.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful, unpredictable, brutal, wonderful journey, and man, and I think that's what passion and creation is supposed to be, right? It's not this smooth, easy, predictable path. There's going to be turmoil. It's going to be tumultuous. It's going to be difficult, and like they say, nothing worth doing is easy, and so yeah, it's just been such a beautiful journey, and we've realized so many things along the way. We've realized that melodic has the ability to give back to the creators as well, because just like I was saying, artists get stuck
Mm.
in this brutal um catch 22 of their passion becoming a product that then somehow devalues the passion and makes the creativity difficult, and we've worked with artists. Well, Amos Lee, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Amos, but he's an incredible artist from Pennsylvania, really wonderful guy. Got really invested in Melodic Caring Project, and to the point where it the experience of realizing that his music is so much more than entertainment, right? It's medicine, it's connection, it's power for these kids, and for where we call the kids the rock stars in Melodic Caring Project, and then the artists become the number one fans, which is a really great, just a juxtaposition, because a lot of times the musicians, rock star is a moniker that doesn't represent them as a person. It represents them as an entertainer, and they don't want to
Right.
be entertainers all the time. They want to be people. Like I say, people want to connect with people,
Hmm.
And so for Amos to become a number one fan and to elevate the child to rock star status, I think really connected with him the power of his music to bring hope and to bring joy and to bring love. And we had a little rock star named Maya that he just connected with. After a show, he called and he's like, "Man, can I go visit one of the rock stars?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I took Amos to go visit. Mighty Maya was her name. She was battling cancer as well. And there's something remarkably humbling about these kids that are going through really brutal situations. You could be a rock star that's elevated and loved by the world and all that sort of thing, right? But you look at these kid rock stars and you go, that's what that's what courage looks like. That's what strength looks like. And that gives back to the artist, because for Amos, he realized, man, it breathed life back into his passion, and it inspired him to write a song called Little Light that was about Mighty Maya. That, right, so now it's becoming circular, it's reciprocal, where the kids are giving back to the artists and inspiring them and breathing life back into them. Jason Mraz said it as well, that inspiration, the meaning of inspiration is, it's that it's that breath, when you're inspired by something and you go, there's that surprise and that shock and that inspiration, and it's that breath that's breathed in that we all share, and so as these kids were able to breathe life back into the artists, well, guess what, now the artists are writing songs that re-inspire the kids, and it's this beautiful exchange that is exactly what we were talking about earlier. That's that, whatever you want to call it, breaking the fifth wall or whatever, but it's where you're not entertaining the people you're playing to, you're relating to the people you're playing to,
Hmm.
and you're sharing this experience that's really beautiful and elevated because you're both a part of it.
And it's back to that word connection.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
I want to make sure that our audience can get in touch with you regarding the Melodic Caring Project, but also any potential artists that maybe want to get involved. What are some ways that some people can get either involved as an artist or just to help support the Melodic Caring Project?
Yeah, thank you. So our website is melodiccaring.org, just like it sounds, melodiccaring.org. And on the website is all of the links for everything that you might want to do. So if you're an artist, you can sign up to join us to send songs to the rock stars. We call the artists that join us to support kids rockologists. So you become more than just an artist. You are an artist that's using your gift, using your talent, using your passion to send hope, to send love, to send support, and messages of encouragement to these rock star kids that we support. So you can go on, sign up to be a rockologist with us. We would love that, and we will pair you with rockstar kids to do song requests, and they'll send us song requests. We'll send them to our rockologist. You can learn a song, record a message of love and hope for these kids, and send it back to them. And it's just incredibly powerful for them to know that they're seen. Uh, you know, uh, and that's one of the things about the live streams. I mean, that's what all of this is. Connection is the word, Emily, because that's the whole point. When these kids are going through profound illness where they're separated from their friends, their family, their peer groups for extended periods of time, they start to feel like they've just become invisible. They've slipped through the cracks of society. Um, and when all you have to look forward to is a needle poke or nausea or medication or a hospital meal, then the joy of life really gets eluded, I'll say, right? It's hard
Yeah.
to find those sharp moments of joy when you don't have anything really joyful to look forward to. And so for melodic, the whole point is, and this is the thing, right? When an Amos Lee, we have a show with Regina Spektor coming up, we have a show with Mount Joy coming up, we worked with Zach Brown a little while ago, we worked with Coldplay a little while ago, and Black Eyed Peas and Andy Grammer, and right, all these amazing artists. But when they take time during a concert to recognize kids that are watching from the hospital and a crowd of, it doesn't matter what it is, 30 people or 1,000 people or 30,000 people cheer for the kids in the hospitals. The kids go from being invisible to being the rock star of the show. And that's the whole point with Melodic Caring Project, right? Is just taking that focus and redirecting it on some kids who it's not just meaningful, it's life-giving. And if you can give a child hope, that hope really does become health. There's a mind body connection that happens there, that if a child has joy to look forward to, then they have something to fight for. They have something to hope for. And there's times where just that mental commitment of I'm not giving up is the difference between life and death. So and we've had rock stars come up to us and say, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Melodic Caring Project. And I really thought that was hyperbolic. Well, the first time I heard that, we've heard that a number of times now. And what we learned was that no, there's rock stars that we've supported that their situations were so brutal that they didn't care to live anymore, or they were ready to take their own lives. And
Mm.
when they were given a sense of hope, a sense of joy, something to look forward to, it was all they needed to get through that moment of darkness. And that's what we just have to make it through sometimes.
When you hear that many times with people who listen to music and they send messages to the artist, like that song saved my life.
Yeah.
And this is a very literal example of that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. And that's, like I say, that can seem like just well, that's a really extreme way to say that. But there's a lot of times I think that we just take it at face value. The statement means exactly what the statement
Yep.
was meant to mean, that I was ready to quit. I was ready to end it. And that song, that point of connection got me through that dark moment,
Hmm.
you know? Um, so to get back to your question, Trey, is another way that if people, if this mission, if this connection is meaningful, if this resonates with you, the mission of supporting kids and families in the midst of really terrible struggles with hope and with love and shout outs from artists and love from crowds. If that resonates with you, the program's free. It's free for kids, it's free for hospitals, it's free for artists, it's free for everybody involved. And we make it free for them because we have a support basis that believes in our mission. So if you believe in what we're doing, you can become a what we call true fans, where you give $1 a day and help us bring music to kids in hospitals or home care rooms. And it might seem insignificant, but $1 a day with 1,000 people giving $1 a day, Melodic Caring Project is 100% funded, and we can continue to bring connection and hope to kids in hospitals indefinitely.
Very nice.
That's
You can
amazing.
also follow Melodic Caring on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo,
Yes.
and X, Twitter.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
there's one more question in the chat I'd like to answer before maybe we sign off, and that is, what is the best moment that you've experienced during your project, during the Melodic
Gosh.
Caring Project? I feel like asking that for just one is a difficult thing, probably, but maybe there's just one you could share.
It's so hard. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's like, what's your favorite song, or what's your favorite
right.
food, or like, well, it depends. Am I happy or am I sad?
Mm-hmm.
Am I in the mood for spicy? Am I in the mood for, so there's been so many moments that are just have been beyond words, right? That you can't explain, you can't express.
Sure.
But a couple that have been really, really meaningful to me. I'll tell a story about uh, when we first discovered Melodic Caring Project with the live stream to Katie, and we thought, man, what a cool possibility that we could do this for kids. But we kind of simultaneously thought, and this happens a lot with dreams. So for anybody watching, don't when this happens in your dreams, don't believe it. There's a doubt that comes, right? When you have that great dream and you go, I wonder if I could. And then everything comes in and goes, no, you can't, because dot, 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 dot. Don't believe it. You can. It's
Mm-hmm.
pursue it, pursue the dream, pursue that passion, pursue that breath of inspiration, right? So when we had that experience with Katie and we thought, how incredible, the first thought was a negative. Yeah, but I'm sure that it's probably because she was sad that she wasn't there more than she was happy that she got to watch the live stream. I thought, well, let's do another one, and let's just see. Was this a fluke? Was this um so we did another one, and Katie had a friend that she had made in the hospital. His name was Braden. We didn't know Braden. He didn't know us. Nobody in the crowd knew Braden, right? So this was different than the experience with Katie, where everybody knew Katie and we were all there to support her. Braden was new to us. He was new, we were new to him. Nobody in the crowd knew him. Artists didn't know him. And so we set up a show with Caden. I'm sorry, set up a show with Braden. And as the show was coming, it was the only thing that Braden had to look forward to. Like I was saying, there was, when you're a kid in hospital, there's just not a lot to look forward to. So
Yeah.
Braden was in the middle of a battle with cancer. The day of the concert that he was looking forward to for a couple of weeks, he had a double dose of chemo, or he had a large dose of chemo anyway. And so he was getting really nauseous. He was throwing up all day. And his mom thought, man, this concert is the only thing he's had to look forward to for weeks. And he's going to miss it because he's too sick.
Yeah.
And so it came up to 8 o'clock. The show was going live at 8 o'clock. Braden leaned over. He vomited because he was vomiting uncontrollably all day. And his mom kind of panicked and like opened the computer, clicked on the link, and the live stream came up. And the artist was saying, Braden, we're all here. We're all thinking about you. We know you don't know us. We don't know you, but we just want you to know that we're thinking about you. And everybody here in the venue tonight is sending you love and sending you, just our best wishes. And she said that Braden, he was still leaning over and wiped his mouth and like leaned up and like, what? And looked at his mom and said, Mom, they just called my name out. And she said, yeah, Braden, this is for you, buddy. This concert is for you. And that connection, that emotional engagement took his mind off of his nausea, off of the medication, off of everything, the vomiting, off everything he was dealing with that day. And he just watched the show. And she said that was it. He didn't throw up for the rest of the night. And halfway through the show, she looked down and he had big tears rolling down his face. And she said, Brayden, what's going on, buddy? And he said, Mom, they don't even know me. Why are they doing this for me? And that was, I think for Steph and I, that was the moment that we realized we have to do this, whether it works or not, whether we can or not, whether all of those doubts are true or not, we have to do this. And so we just started doing it, and there's been 1,000 things to derail it. And, I think we could have justifiably walked away from it 10, 12 years ago. And I'm so glad that we haven't, um, because those are the moments that have made every struggle, every challenge, every difficulty worthwhile. Yeah. So that's just one of the incredible moments with melodic that we just love.
That that wow.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see
The
why.
others are like Brittany Howard from Alabama Shakes, coming up after her show and going, we've played 105 shows on this tour, and this one has been the most meaningful. So it's that, right, where you see that there aren't that many things in life where it's like good for everybody, right? And everybody walks away going, that was wonderful. And
Yeah.
this is one of those things. It inspires the artist, it's good for them. It inspires the crowd, it's good for them. It connects the artist and the crowd. The crowd loves the artist all the more because they see how human and how how that, just like we said, that sense of connection is there. They can
Hmm.
connect with them as a human, not just as an entertainer. And then
Mhm.
all of them connect with the kids and everybody walks away a winner. It's really beautiful.
What a privilege to be a part of that at all.
It's a remarkably humbling and yeah, privilege is the right word for sure. We just feel honored to be, well, because what it means is that we are a part of these families'
Yeah.
journeys and their lives. And what's
Hmm.
incredible is they have invited us in. That's another thing that, like I say, go back to the very beginning of this, go full circle again, like your gem statement earlier, which I appreciate, is that we talked about um that desire for connection, but how pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, depression drives us away, right? And we recede into isolation. So these kids, these families, for every conceivable reason, would be receding into isolation and blocking the world out and just focusing inwardly. But remarkably, they're inviting us into their journey. And um, and that's an incredible honor to be invited in during such a vulnerable time.
Yeah.
And there's something about the vulnerability created in their journeys that all of the BS is boiled away, right? And in
Yeah.
day-to-day life, we get caught up in a lot of trivial, really inconsequential things, whether
Hmm.
it could be fear and anxiety around bills, or I have to get up and go to work again. I don't like my employee, my coworker. I don't know, right? There's all of these things that we get caught up in that are pretty trivial if you really stop and look at them from the lens of what these kids and these families are going through. And that's what they've shared with us is in their lives, all of the BS is boiled away, right? The nice new car, the whatever, they're focused on one more moment with the people we love, getting the most out of this moment with the people we love. And that's a message that every single one of us can benefit from, should take
Yeah.
to heart.
For sure.
Right. I'm trying not to cry here. So I Levi,
Yeah.
I will uncontrollably and ugly cry after this podcast. Um, but
I'll
I
keep
have
recording.
there will be evidence. But seriously, Levi, what an amazing story. Your view on not only the musician side and the creative side, but also what you are doing that with choosing to do with this passion and with this with the Melodic Caring Project is stunning.
Mm.
Like hands down, it's just stunning. Thank you for spending time with us today. You are a beautiful human soul, and thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you. I so appreciate you guys having me on, your curiosity, shining a light on the work we're doing, allowing us to connect with more kids, more families. I mean, it could very well be that, that there's somebody watching this that knows about a rock star or has a rock star kid that could use some support. Oh, that actually brings us back another full circle. We'll come back to the website. You can, if you want to sign somebody up to be a rock star with Melodic Caring Project, right? Somebody, you have like I say, a friend, an acquaintance who is going through a really difficult medical journey, sign them up as a rock star. You can nominate them and we will start supporting them and sending them love. So that's what this opportunity is as well, right? Through this, perhaps we can reach some more kids and families that need some love and some support. So thank you for having me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
As we close this episode out, this and other conversations you can find on our Patreon. Search for The Mod Rom, or you can search for our website, themodrom.com. Thank you so much. I want to give a big shout out to Sandra, our producer. We didn't say it last time, but happy belated birthday. We love you and so much more. You're amazing. But whew, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good night. I'm going to go ugly cry now. Okay, bye.
Bye.